Well, my name is Brett the Threat. I got the nickname from previously being a boxer. That was the nickname that was given to me, and it stuck with me. Designs comes from my artistic ability, doing not just art but photography as well. I became a boxing photographer for quite a few years, and doing acting. Ended up implementing streaming into my life, and that's kind of where I'm at now, trying to pursue whatever dreams and goals lay ahead as far as acting, streaming goes. Any artistic ability that I can throw into either of those. Definitely trying my best to do what works, but of course, they're all very difficult things to get involved in. It's not a 9 to 5 job. You definitely have to be motivated to do any one of those things, I will say. And it's very easy to not want to do something that you might even be talented at, or some people would want to have those kind of abilities, right? You don't see a lot of songwriters just writing songs every single day. Sometimes they need a break, they need to take some time away. So, and when it comes to art, it's the same thing. I've done it up to twice a week at most, but most of the time it's once a week, and then I'll have to take breaks here and there, and it's just coming up with ideas sometimes where your brain is just filled with so many other things you don't have the time to do it. Testing.
Oh my god.
I hear it.
My voice wasn't coming through.
But your voice wasn't coming through?
I must have hit a hotkey somewhere.
So you muted yourself after unmuting me.
Oh my god. Alright. Thank you tons for letting me know I've been muted. Oh my god, it is not a podcast for me without Scuff at the beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Mr. ThreatDesigns, a content creator, actor, artist, and really good friend of mine. And this is the third time I've had to ask this. I'm sorry. Can we get an introduction from you one more time?
Of course. My name is Brett, also known as Brett the Threat, and ThreatDesigns. My nickname comes from my previous boxing nickname, Brett the Threat, back when I used to be a boxer, and designs from the artistic and photography that I've done throughout my life. And I try to implement all of those within my stream. You can see a boxing bag in the background. I'd love to do some workouts in the future once I have some more space. I think that would be cool. But
Oh, dude,
doing
that would
art
be
once a week,
that would be really cool to see, actually.
I would love to have like a boxing ring in a gym, or just to at least take some cameras to the gym. I think that would be cool. That would be an ultimate like dream to be able to stream that freely.
Yeah, there was this other streamer I watched a while ago. I haven't seen him online for a long time, but that's neither here nor there. Who he eventually started doing like yoga teaching sessions on the streams, and it was really cool to see because it's not your standard content, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've seen some interesting. I've seen tattoo art, people doing
that would be
tattoos,
cool.
live tattoos. I've gotten tattooed on stream. I thought, I think people would want to watch this. That was early on when I first
Yeah, I
started
think I
streaming.
see that in your intros usually.
Yeah, when he's first starting to shave my arm. I wasn't really saving a lot of broadcasts back then because I was still new and fresh. I
Yeah.
didn't know what was going to come of it. So there's very minimal of that, but I think that would be really cool. I would love to watch things like that. People cooking. I'm glad that Twitch has come something more than just playing some games and tournaments.
Oh,
There's art,
absolutely.
there's food, Bob Ross. There's a lot of good
There's
stuff on there.
musicians, all sorts of
Mhm.
interesting avenues.
Yeah. So, and obviously all the people that are on there doing whatever it is that they do, it's brought a lot of us closer together, like you and I,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, and just all the communities that have grown, whether come together or just every streamer that has a separate community. A lot of us share the same people.
Mm-hmm.
It's been quite an experience, I will say that. There's obviously downs as well,
Oh,
but you learn
absolutely.
from those things, and that's part of life. That's part of any relationship, any friendship. I mean, even with families, there's not every single day do you guys love and care about each other. You're going to be fighting and dealing with that. And I think with all those experiences, it's definitely taught me how to deal with a lot of that. So,
Yeah, like one of the biggest things I've seen with the way you do your streams and like the way you moderate and stuff, you're very open forum when there's like discourse instead of just straight to the banhammer, which is very different from a lot of people. And I like it because once again, an argument's just an argument. Discourse is just is discourse. What's gonna happen? Like, nothing's gonna come from it except for, more discourse if you don't try to talk through it. Sometimes,
mhm.
you don't see eye to eye in the end, but if you don't try, then you don't fucking try. Like, it's it's definitely one of the aspects I really like about your streams, especially when it comes to a lot of Dead by Daylight players who think they're in the right until certain things are shown from other sides, and whether it's you were in the
Yeah,
right
I
or you
mean,
were in the wrong.
I always like to leave my door open, whether it be people from the past, people who have felt wronged, or, who I felt that hurt me, because you're never going to have that opportunity to mend or to get closure or to rekindle a friendship or whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is that split up there. So sometimes someone will come into a stream and have a different of opinion or just be angry. Sometimes they're just trolls. Sometimes they're funny
Yeah,
and
true.
sometimes they're not. And I give them an opportunity. I give them a chance. One, yeah, it is content. I don't do it for the content though. I do it in
Yeah.
order to understand the way that some people think. I try my best with doing that. I do that with, people that I know, people that I love and care about. My mom, with ADHD, I don't always understand the way that she thinks. So I try to ask questions so I
Mm-hmm.
can understand better. That way I can try to talk through it the next time something happens, right? Instead of just get frustrated and think that I'm right all the time. Sometimes they have something of an opinion that I wouldn't have thought of. And I go, you know what? You could be onto something. Maybe I'll look at it from your perspective and see, not necessarily am I wrong, but that could be the situation. When it comes to Dead by Daylight, as you mentioned, most of the time someone's disgruntled about how a game went. If I'm playing killer and they felt that they got camped or tunneled, I like to show a replay so that they can see my side of things, because
Mm-hmm.
seeing one side, you can be misled very easily.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
I've been wrong on the other side of that as well. When I'm a survivor, I think, oh, this person's stream sniping me. They're cheating, but I tend to accuse a lot of people of that anyway. A lot of it's for fun. But then when I see their side, I'm like, oh, well, this one little thing happened that I didn't notice, like a crow going off, and I would have never have known until I saw, or heard from their view. Sometimes, yeah, it is obvious that they're cheating. But again, with the conversations that I like to have with people, I like to be open. I like to have that room and respect for other people instead of just shutting people out, because I know what it's like to get shut out, especially if you have a really good answer or opinion. It doesn't matter if they agree or not. If they just shut you out, you're never going to hear it.
Yeah.
And when it comes to friendships, you shut people out. You guys are going to end something over a disagreement or whatever it is. But yet, sometimes after just some time, you guys can talk about it. You can still be friends even if you don't agree. I've just come to the realization that brushing things under the rug, it's still under the rug. Going out drinking if you have a problem, well, your problems are still going to exist. So talking about it, and I know it's just Twitch, but Twitch has got a lot of people on there. Some jobs you work with a lot of people, but most jobs you're probably in an office working with a few specific people or just yourself, and how many customers you deal with. Let's say you work at Target. Yeah, you're going to be dealing with a lot of customers, but it's not the same customers every single day.
Correct.
You're going
Yeah.
to be meeting new people, and it's the people that you work with that you're going to be around all the time. So when it comes to Twitch, you see the same people periodically throughout the week, maybe every day. Sometimes one person will show up once a year. And getting to know those people and having that openness, you really get involved in their lives, and they get to see my life. I know that's not for every streamer, though. I'm not telling anybody to stream the way that I stream and to do that. If banning somebody helps, hey, that's what you have to do. But I know I've made a lot of friends through not banning people. And sometimes it didn't work out in our favor, but you don't know until you try.
Absolutely.
I had someone that I should have banned, and then he ended up being really friendly. This was just recently. He ended up being friendly later on after being toxic, and took the high road and said, hey, do you want to play? The next week, I was like, sure. I'm not even going to argue with this guy. Let's play. And we played, and it was fun. It was fine. And then, like, the next week, he started trolling again. I was like, okay, well, that didn't get really far. So, but it was worth the effort for me.
Yeah.
Because there was nothing harmful that really happened. What, my feelings got hurt because he called me a name? It's really not that serious. I think some people are a little overly, not necessarily sensitive, but they don't have the time to deal with it, and that's fine. I understand. I completely understand. For me, I have very thick skin from being a boxer and being turned down as an actor. You don't get every role, so you have to be used to that.
Acting is such a rough career path.
It is. I've had friends that just couldn't take being turned down for roles so often. And hey, I've seen someone like Mark Ruffalo, who plays the Hulk in the MCU. He said it wasn't until like his 400th role that he got in. I mean, it's just different for everybody, and it's not a guarantee. I'm not banking on it. It's just something that I would love to do. But in being real with people, I don't know. That's just something I've been accustomed to and grown to, because I don't like being dishonest. I don't like holding the truth from anybody. Not necessarily is that lying, but it makes me feel closer to people. And that's one thing that I do like. And that's what I like about Twitch.
Yeah. I don't know, I've always seen there's so many different ways to do this sort of, like, career. Like, some people on Twitch are, characters. Some people are just themselves. Some people, do VTubing. Some people do face cams. Some people do none of that. And, like, there's no surefire avenue.
There's a market for everything. There is a market for everything. Some people VTuber. Some people don't use a webcam. Some people are toxic. And there will be a lot of people that watch it. Now, not always does it generate a toxic community and viewership, because sometimes people will just lurk just to watch the drama unfold. Like, look at what's popular on TV.
Oh,
Dramas,
absolutely.
reality
Sometimes
TV. Those things really took over.
sometimes it's fun to be a little toxic in a, it's completely played up way. And then sometimes, it's not the time for that. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
I
what
mean, all have my characters, just like you said.
Mhm.
There are characters. There are some people that are characters all the time. I'm just one of those people that tries to be myself. Well, I don't try to, but I try to be as open as possible because I am myself.
Yeah.
If I'm having a rough day, I definitely mention that and definitely see that. I don't want to hide that because then it becomes fake. And
Mhm.
people that are observant, they can tell. I'll get
Oh,
messages.
absolutely.
Hey, are you okay? If I'm not real, the people that are actually there for you, that actually pay attention, they're going to know.
Yeah, no, I've definitely been called out for putting on the fake smile every once in a while.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that as well. I just think it can be harmful for you. And you can miss out on a lot of the people that are there that will be there for you. Because there will be a lot, and you'll be surprised by sometimes who shows up. You might be surprised by who doesn't as well. And you can't let that get to you. You have to focus on the positive. And that's something that I'm guilty of as well. I know that's not something that's very easy to do. 100 people in a room, 99 will tell you everything positive, one person will tell you something negative, and you're just going to follow along with what that person says because you're your own worst critic at the time. You doubt yourselves, right? We all do. And we always want to hear the positive. And not everybody can take the criticism and the critiques.
Yeah.
So it's good to hear those things. It is.
Like you may not
And
like the criticism right away, but almost all of the time you think about it long enough, you can see the opposite view.
mhm. Yeah, and sometimes it just takes time. But in being real and having the time to have your characters or play the game or do your art, whatever it is you choose to do. I just happen to be someone that likes to do a little bit of everything. Predominantly, my streams have been run by Dead by Daylight. That's slowly, not necessarily getting phased out, but I'm more open to other things. I know when I first started, it was quite a bit of variety. Now I'm trying to get back into that and reclaim what I think made my stream a little more special rather than sticking to one thing because
Yeah.
real life happens, COVID happened, and I think a lot of us got really down. So, with everything going on in our heads, we resort to something that's simple, something that we're comfortable with and that we're used to. And that's definitely what I did. And I just stuck with one thing. I didn't want to change it up too much. And it was just a lot easier for me to deal with. And now I feel okay, let me get back to doing more of what I was starting streaming with.
Like so
One of the reasons why I met so many people, right? It's not all through art and all through Dead by Daylight.
like as somebody who watches your content and have seen where you've gone now, I think the slightly free form what am I going to do schedule kind of works out cuz you do have days that are this is what we're doing. Most likely. Because you have, Saturday, art on Wednesdays, most Wednesdays. I know some days you're not, in the art mood, which is, hey, that's being an artist. And
I'll still be doing comics at least.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
tomorrow, for example, I'm going to do the comics. Every Wednesday, I go to the comic shop. I've been doing this since I was little. Yes, there were days that I would go and not pick up anything because as a comic book nerd, I've bought and sold throughout my life. Now I'm buying again. Who knows? Maybe I'll sell the whole collection again. But Wednesdays,
mean,
I like to show off what I've gotten, get people either interested in talking about it, picking them up themselves. It's really big right now. The movies
oh,
definitely
absolutely.
made a huge boom back in the comic book world when one of my old shop owners were considering retiring and thinking that everything was going to go digital. And then suddenly, boom, it took off once again, like it did back in the 80s and then it did in the 90s.
You know,
So,
I've seen
mhm,
the everything's gonna go digital scare enough in my life that I don't think it is ever going to actually happen. I mean, look at art. A lot of
yeah.
art is done digitally, yes, but there's something about digital art that it just doesn't capture some of the same nuance that traditional art can do. Don't
Mhm.
get me wrong, I'm not saying traditional art is better than digital art or digital art is better than traditional. Nah. Every medium has something.
No, most definitely. When I go through the art pages, oftentimes I'm looking for a traditional artist, and they're few and far between. I'll have people come to my stream and they'll say, "Wow, you're one of the only traditional artists out there." Even one time when I was doing a digital piece, someone rated us because they thought it was a traditional piece because of the way that I do my digital art,
Mm-hmm.
which I've only done a few times, but I do it in a sketching and traditional way. But in looking at the art category on Twitch, I do see a lot of talented digital artists,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I look at them and I want to be able to do that stuff. Even like your VTuber character and seeing some of those, there's a lot of talent that goes into that, and I have no idea where to begin. And it's nice to be able to see that people doing emotes. I was thinking, okay, I'm just going to do my own emotes. Everyone wanted me to do their emotes because they saw that I was an art. They love my art. It turns out I'm not very good at doing emotes. Some people might like them, but I don't like them. The ones that I have had done for me, and each one by a separate artist, I'm going to have a new emote this week
Oh, hell
that I
yeah.
already have. I'm waiting till Friday specifically to unveil that. So, and there's actually two, so stick around for that. But I love what everybody has done because they're really talented. So seeing all those digital arts, when I'm picking up comics, a lot of the covers that are traditional or digital, I pick up both. I've learned to appreciate a lot of the stuff that not necessarily do I not know how to do. And it's not that I wouldn't be interested. Of course, I would love to learn some of that. But in watching all the talent that's on Twitch, I definitely have a huge appreciation for digital art, and it makes me want to do more of that. Hell, Duck Plague, someone that comes
Oh my
to
god.
my
Duck
stream
Plague
very
is.
regularly. He does a lot of amazing digital work.
Speaking of your emotes, though.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to know other than my personal faces, each of those are just different artists and they all go together really well.
I've learned real quick that even if you're really good at doing something conceptually or, just working on a piece of art, trying to get it to work as an emote is, oh man, I don't know
Yeah.
how they do it.
I've shrunk down some of my art and you can't even see what it's doing. It seems like it would be simple. It's not. And then I figured out how they do it and I still don't like how it works. I'm not very good at cartoon art
Yeah.
and straight lines, curved lines. I do a lot of sketch lines that turn into the pieces that I do, portraits. I'll do comics, but when it comes to drawing a cartoon character, I've never been really good at doing some of that.
Yeah, your style is and I don't mean weird in a bad way. It's just the only way I can explain it. It's this weird mix of almost semi-realism plus a lot of comic book influence, and man, I wish I had the balls to shade the way you shade on almost all your pieces, because it's the way you shade, at least the way I see it, is very very deliberate and like 0 to 100 real quick.
Oh, I appreciate the compliments, and I like that you mentioned the realism mixed with comic because there are a lot of artists that I follow that do stylized characters and art like that, which is what I want to do. I like my realism, but I also like mixing in the comic book and realism
Mm-hmm.
effect so that it's not just a portrait. I try to do that, and I'm glad that you noticed that. And no, saying it's weird is something that a lot of people should embrace a little bit more when it comes to personalities, not just art,
Weird is
because
what
being
makes us
weird
us.
separates us from the people that are normal. Would you rather be weird or be normal? I definitely would prefer to be weird because that makes you different. Yeah, there's a bad weird, of course, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just being real and different. Different is good. Weird is good. A lot of people should embrace that more. So I know quite a few artists that they're bizarre. Their art is weird, and one specifically, I'll mention Jim Mafood. If no one's familiar with him, he does a lot of non-traditional art. He'll take a Sharpie and just start making a mess on a paper, but it ends up becoming so beautiful and so detailed with such a few lines. And it's like a beautiful disaster in a sense. And he makes a mess into something that just looks really refined. And
That
I would not want to say that directly, but I've mentioned that. I've met him a few times and I've mentioned it in a way that he said the same thing. Like he appreciates that. And I think a lot of artists would as well.
that kind of style that you just mentioned really reminds me of what was it, Gardic Phone or whatever it was called, that one art game thing we did,
Uh
where
huh.
it was somebody throws some squiggles on the
Yeah.
canvas and then it gets passed to everybody else. That's what that
Hmm.
reminds me of.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, seeing all these different artists, I would like to mimic certain styles here and there, and I often do. I'll have a piece that's referenced, and I'll have the name, who it's after, Jim Lee, David Finch, and I do that every time that I have a reference. But I also want to try and find myself, and that's one of the hardest things as an artist is to feel comfortable with just doing your own thing. At
Hmm.
least for me. Not everybody is like that, but for me, it's like that. And it comes right back to streaming, being comfortable with being yourself or just streaming what you want to stream, being comfortable with the way that your content goes, whether someone's going to like it or not. And that's something that's not very easy to do. I think I'm a lot more comfortable than when I first started almost 5 years ago. But I'm glad that I run the stream the way that I do, even though I've been told from people that they don't agree with the way I run my stream, especially when I get into those conversations.
I mean, to be fair with that though, not everybody is going, and this goes back to our conversation earlier. Not everybody's going to agree with the same methods
Mm,
because everybody, reacts differently to things. But
yeah.
that probably goes all the way back to the whole sense of self thing, and I'm not about to get into the whole psychology side of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's also goes in line with not being able to please everybody. You can't please everybody. You can have a conversation on your stream about anything. There will be someone that disagrees and there will be someone that agrees. And they can both be close friends of yours.
Oh, absolutely.
And it becomes frustrating because although I'm not a people pleaser, I want to make sure that everybody's happy and enjoys their time with me. But that's impossible to do. And when people realize that and stop feeling bad about how they run their stream or do their art, whatever it is you choose to do, you have to realize you're just going to have critics. How many movies have come out where everybody loved every single movie one person made? Shyamalan. He got so popular after The Sixth Sense, but yet made some movies that got some of the worst criticism. And then came back with Split and kind of redeemed a lot of the critics. I wouldn't say himself because I've liked all his movies, other than maybe The Last Airbender, which I didn't watch. And I probably
You're
wouldn't
not
watch
missing much.
Yeah, so
That one was really bad.
being confident or just the willingness to try something, it's not easy to do, but it's something that we all have to do. We have to force ourselves to just go for it. Do it. You're going to get mixed results all the time. If everybody liked your stream, that'd be impossible. There are streamers that have millions of followers. Yeah, they'll have 5,000 people watching them. I guarantee you some of them probably don't like the stream and they're watching it for the wrong reasons. Maybe not all, but there's still going to be people that don't specifically like those streams, whether they find them boring or just not their taste. That's just how it is because different strokes for different folks.
I mean,
it's just how it works.
Yeah. Everybody will have people who like what they do, and everybody will have people who don't like what they do, and everybody will have people who want to bring you down.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's honestly just life.
Yeah. I mean, how many times have we watched sports, and I'll bring up boxing again, where someone's at the top and people want to see them fall and fail. It's like the quote from Spider-Man. I'm pretty sure Goblin mentioned they'd love to see a hero fall and die trying. And it's true. There are a lot of people that just want to see that. Now, sometimes they don't do it in a negative way. They want to see them rise to the occasion. But oftentimes there are people, whether it's jealousy or whatever reason, they wish the worst on some people. And you have to deal with that with Twitch, sadly, because there's just so many people there. And again,
absolutely.
You can't please everybody. But I'm grateful for all the positives, all the people that have been there for me. Some people have even taken breaks and then come back later on. So, in understanding that everybody's different and react to different things different ways, you'll be better off in talking to people in real life as well, because then you're not just expecting them to have the same reaction that you would have. You might be thrown off by some of the reactions. I am sometimes on stream. I'm like, wait, that got the complete opposite reaction than what I was expecting. But my reactions could be opposite of what they're expecting.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take that into account as well. People are interesting, and that's what Twitch is. It's not just video games. Some people do stream, and then they turn their stream off. They go to bed, they go to work, they have their relationship to attend to, kids. With me, I'm still in the Discord. I hang out with everybody that was probably already in the stream. So it becomes almost a 24-hour thing. So I'm still around the people. So those who turn the stream off and aren't around those people, they don't deal with a lot of the things that some of us would who are as open, I would say. Mm-hmm. Is that good for them? Probably, because it's less stress if something happens or you have to fix and resolve a situation between some people that you're not even involved in. I've had that many times, and I try to bring people closer. And sometimes people just won't get along. You'll have 100 people in a Discord. Chances are someone's personality is going to rub someone the wrong way, or someone's going to catch feelings for somebody. And if it doesn't work out, I mean, there's always something going on because people are involved. It's a lot of people. Just look at whenever there's a protest or a new law or someone else running for president, there's always a divide.
Always. Because everybody is, and the way I'm going to word this may make some people mad, and honestly, that's okay because differences in opinions. But look, when it comes to literally almost anything that can happen in life, everybody is allowed and entitled to have their choice of opinion, whether their opinion is hurtful, whether their opinion is wrong, whether it's right, because at the end of the day, it's their opinion. It's not, yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as long as you're comfortable with it, you're not hurting yourself, you're not hurting other people.
Yeah.
With your opinions, your views, your actions, then you should be okay. And people should respect that.
I mean, will they? That's always up to them, but all I can do for stuff like that is shrug, because
Yeah.
Now, your room or background here, you have a lot of interesting stuff here.
Like, got a few things.
I see the masks, the graded comics, the figures, all sorts of stuff. And like it's very you.
I would like to have a bigger display to show off a lot of what I've never been able to show on stream.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the masks that I have a lot of horror masks, Jason masks. I've shown them on stream as far as images go, but I've never been able to display them.
I mean, you've shown off some masks as far as either wearing them, like the Leatherface stream, which was great. I don't know how you were able to stay in character with that.
Bubba will return. Texas Chainsaw is coming out next year, so I'm sure he's gonna get a very big kick out of that game. Hopefully, it's good.
Here's hoping.
But yeah, pop figures I know is very popular. A lot of people have pop figures in their backgrounds. I never intended to get any pops except for this Ren and Stimpy that you can see there. It was a Comic-Con exclusive.
I mean, Ren and Stimpy, though, is a classic.
They looked pretty much identical to how they are. I'm not a big fan of the big head versions.
Yeah.
However, in getting gifted the Demogorgon, which was kind of a joke gift because I'm not the biggest fan of the character in Dead by Daylight.
Absolutely. I that goes back to the redeem on your stream. Like, pick my killer. No demo.
Yeah. Yeah. And nothing against the show. I haven't watched it. I'm sure I would like the show and the character as well. It was just, it became a gimmick. And then I got the Inosuke just because that looked really cute. But most people have a lot of pop figures. I'm more of the 6-inch figure character. I have some 12-inch ones. And then a lot of comic books. You can see the Freddy glove, one of the few that I have up there. But yeah, having a big comic book collection, movies collection, boxing posters, I have a lot of those, and signed. I would love to be able to show off some of those or organize just some of the comic books. I think that would be cool for future streams. It's just having the space and the ability to do that. I'm secluded to what I have now. But again, everybody starts somewhere. I've seen a lot of streams. I have to bring up a big streamer. Hopefully you don't mind. Alinity.
No, you're allowed to say whatever.
Everybody knows Alinity. And she actually had her 10-year stream earlier today, I believe, and showed off a clip from 10 years ago, in 2012. And it looked like she was streaming in the dining room. And look where she's at now. Like, she's one of the biggest streamers out there. And off controversial as well. But again, like I said, everybody has their own niche and
Yeah.
what works for them. So upgrading takes time, and getting to where you want to be and finding yourself. That's, I think, a process that lasts forever. It's not, hey, well, this is where I want to get to and I'm done. A lot of people say, well, I want to get to affiliate, I want to get to partner. Then what happens then? I mean, you can't just stop there. You got to keep going. You have to go higher. And a lot of what I want to do, like I mentioned, having some workout streams, boxing streams, having that space to have the background, show off some of the comic books. I mean, there's a lot to just streaming that are goals of mine, and that doesn't even include just some of the acting, some of the boxing that could potentially happen. So there's a lot, I think, that a lot of us can do. We just don't either push ourselves to do it or think that we can do it. So we just kind of brush it off. Where I'm the kind of person, I'll get an idea and I'm going to try my best to do it. And I'm going to fail trying, but I tried.
I think
And
it's
if I don't fail, then that's perfect.
I think it's too easy, just we as people, to think about something and then just instantly, by just instant snap of, yeah, it's nope, too ambitious. When in reality, it's like, you might fuck it up the first 3 times, but hey, do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing comes to art. I bite off more than I can chew with some of the pieces that I want to do. But then by the end product, I'm usually very satisfied. Now, being my own worst critic, yeah, I'm often knowing that I can do better or expecting the next one to be even better. And sometimes it's not. But I like that I don't just say, well, this is the best I can do, because at that point you've reached your peak. That's as
Yeah.
best as you can do. Where I know that I can do better. I know some of those digital art. I don't know how to do any of it, but I know I can learn. And I think that's what a lot of us need to realize. It's not the best we can do. We can always do better. And that goes with
Absolutely.
anything, with treating people, with treating ourselves, how we react to things. I say that all the time on my stream. I mentioned that in a post I did in general chat. I don't always make the right decisions. I make mistakes. Even just recently, I regret some things, but then I learn from that and try not to make the same decisions and mistakes, at least leading into next year. And I take with what I've learned and apply that. Does it always work? No, because we react before we think half the time. But I definitely have improved with how I think. And it's just a learning process that a lot of us go through. And it's constant. It's forever.
Oh, no, absolutely. Let's think about how to word something here. Give me a second. I'm the worst for when I try to say something. I'm bad with words. Now you mentioned acting and all that. If I recall, there's something that either came out or is coming out soon that you just recently worked on.
A film?
Yeah, I think so.
So there's a few films. There's actually 3 that have yet to come out. This year was the first film that I worked on back in February since prior to COVID. COVID really ruined a lot for a lot of people. And in being around a lot of people, that's one of the jobs that they were really strict on not continuing right away.
Well, yeah.
And me not being a big star, it's even more minimal. So being able to get back into that in February and being a part of something that featured an actor from my all-time favorite movie, which is Saving Private Ryan, and the actor is Tom Sizemore. You know, he was on a lot of screen time with Tom Hanks and a lot of great movies. He's been someone that I've really liked a lot of his roles. So to be a part of something that he's a part of, that was big for me. I was really excited. And I actually got COVID for the first time right prior to that. I was really nervous.
Sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I'm glad that that didn't last too long. I'm glad I was able to do that role. It was only like one or two scenes, so it's not a big part, but I'm grateful to be in a
No, but
project.
it is a part.
Yes. It also stars Robert Losado. He was in the Water World of all movies, Death Race. So I'm glad that I'm getting involved in things like that. And I don't know when that's coming out exactly. Anybody could look it up. It is called The Legend of Jack and Diane. There will be a trailer, I think, on the IMDb page, but I'm not sure when it releases. The last thing I shot, which was at the end of October, it's a 10-minute short, so it's not a full feature like the other one. That one, a friend of mine wrote and directed, and he specifically wrote a part for me. And it was already made for me, and then the other people he had to bring in. What I find really cool about it is, those of you that aren't familiar with Howie, she is also a streamer and great friend of ours. And she
They do
does
really
a lot of
cool
voice
stuff, by
acting.
the way.
Yeah, she is such a great friend. And she and I have been talking about doing projects together. And this was right before COVID. And once that happened, it made it a lot more difficult to get involved and just meet up as easy as it would have been before. So we thought maybe we can do some voiceover work on streams, maybe when I'm reading comics. I know that she's willing to do that. We just haven't set it up. But there's a voiceover role in this 10-minute short for the girlfriend of the lead. And I suggested her. And when she sent me a sample, I sent it to them. They actually spliced it in and they loved it so much that they hired her. So this will be the first project that she and I are together. And,
That's fucking great.
At least working on something. So I'm really happy about that.
Like, I've always, I want to say for about the last 12 years, I've been slowly trying to creep my way into voice acting, and for the longest time, I had a really big in with a certain voice actor, which, just out of respect, I'm not gonna name them, not because, oh, I this or that. He passed away just last year, and I'm not gonna throw that around. Which definitely put a hamper on it, not to mention my mental health in general, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have even tried. But the voice acting scene is something just completely different, and brings me to a side thing. Like, I always see with certain movies or things, they try to get actors in on voice acting, and it's just like, that's not the same thing. It doesn't work most of the time.
Yeah.
But man, anybody who can even get a small role in voice acting, like, good shit. It's fucking hard.
It is hard. I mean, just seeing some of the video games that we play, and I think without being a film student, without being an actor or voice actor, sometimes we don't really realize the talent that goes into a lot of the voices that we hear in our everyday games. I mean, there are some amazing voices out there. I'm playing Apex and just hearing the lines and hearing how well they're spoken, they do a great job. Or even just the sound effects in Dead by Daylight. There's very few spoken words in there, but a lot of it is just reactions and screams and grunts. And those are very realistic for the most part. There's a few wonky ones in there, but they make the game what it is.
I can think of like 3 screams when certain characters get hooked that are just questionable.
Kate definitely makes some funny sounds when she gets hit. Sounds like a rooster. But it brings out the quality of the game. And I would love to be a part of something like that. I've done a few voiceovers for smaller games. There's one called Rack and Ruin. You can find it on Steam. But again, it's no spoken lines. It's more so a grunt here and there, a little hum. And I'm grateful for something like that. But again, getting something big would be amazing that everybody plays, that everybody's familiar with. I do have a friend, speaking of the third role that I did film. However, this was 4 years ago now. This was prior to COVID, and it didn't come out because of COVID because they spent a lot of money on it. For it to not go to a film festival, they wanted to sit on it, so they have been. And this is the best of my abilities in this film, at least to this date. And that one's called The Pipes. I've shown it on stream. And I worked with Katie Bentz for the first time. That's where I met her. And she does the voice of Steph in the Life is Strange series, which I have not played, but I'm familiar with the character. So she's made quite a big deal on Twitch and as far as that game goes. So I'm glad to be able to work with her on that project and maybe in the future projects as well. So 3 projects that I've worked on. Hopefully we'll be able to all 3 come out this year. That would be great. That would be great.
All right, give me a moment here. Somebody redeemed my my praise moon redeem. And I'm going to say the same thing I've said to him for the last, I think, 3 or 4 months now. Moon's art is fucking fantastic, and I really, really think he should get into, like, a side hustle with doing emote commissions, because some of the ones he's done for me are fantastic, and I'm going to put those on screen very shortly. Like, look at those. For somebody who's never really done emotes or anything like that, all of these are fantastic, and I really think he could definitely make something of himself with a side hustle, even if it's like 1 or 2, you know, small commission works every year.
Yeah, definitely put a little commission sheet up on Twitter. I guarantee you it'll blow up.
Oh yeah, no, his work is really good. Like, I really love the squirrel one he did recently, considering the backstory for that. Every year there's a transformer not that far from it's literally on my sidewalk, right? It's about a house down, and they've cut these trees so many times to keep the squirrels away from this transformer, but it just happens once a year. It's almost always between April and June. Boom! Power's out for about 3 hours. Like, at this point, we don't even have to tell the electric company or anything what happened. When we call them, they're like, "Hey, are you over on blah 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 street?" I'm not dumb. I'm not about to dox myself here. And we're like, "Yep. Let me guess. Squirrel blew it up again," and they're out. The Midwest is a weird area. That's all I'm saying.
I've had it a few times, not as frequent, but it has happened. And whenever the internet goes out, they always blame the squirrels. Like, that's usually their excuse. Like, oh, the squirrels probably did it. Rats probably got to it. So
it seems pretty common. But yeah, let's talk goals for a second. You know, what do you have for, like, 3, not necessarily immediate goals, but things you want to strive for in the future?
Streaming wise, or just in general?
Streaming wise, in general, whatever you are comfortable with.
Well, as far as the stream goes, I definitely want to do more, as I mentioned, of what I started with. When I first started streaming, I had a bunch of ideas. It wasn't just, hey, we're going to do art in Dead by Daylight. I had scenes, and I don't use them as often, but I know a lot of people wanted to know how I did them, and they got really popular. So one of them was the Pennywise in the sewer scene, and you can see Georgie looking down into the sewer, and then suddenly it's me. I'm down there,
I think that's on
and
your YouTube.
it's no, it's just one of the scenes
No,
I can
that's
throw
one
on
that's
OBS.
yeah, that's been on OBS. That's right.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
yeah.
some
So
of
I
it's on
can just
YouTube.
yeah, there's like clips of it, and it's implemented, I think, in the trailer that I have now. And I would just throw that on every now and then, and it's animated. You can see the water running, and it's not just boom, a simple scene. And I loved seeing different scenes from different streamers, and I thought, you know what, I can do something like that a little different. So we also went with The Shining, where Wendy
I've definitely
is getting
seen that
freaked
one.
out. Yeah, and the axe comes through, and boom, it's me, or whoever you want it to be, a split face. I want to do more of that. It became difficult for me because I streamed so long, 12 hours a day, and I used to do 5 days a week. Now I do four. I don't know how I was able to do all of that, do the streams, do a time lapse every single week. So I've done over 130 art pieces. I I don't know that I got burnt out. I think life just hit me with everything that's been going on and with COVID. I just lost a lot of motivation for doing a lot of what made my stream special. So I want to get back to doing some of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, on top of that, I mean, it's easy to say a goal would be to get more roles, but that's not a guarantee. I would love for these three films to come out and hope that I can progress in one way or another as far as the acting goes. Would I drop streaming completely? Of course not. I would be able to stream when I was capable, but
Mm-hmm.
acting would be my main priority. Another thing, and I'll tease it a little bit, I didn't make an announcement or anything. It's one of the reasons I started running every week. I wanted to get in shape, was the possibility of something that was boxing related. So I can't really mention what it is, but I did get an email, and I'm kind of waiting to see what happens because I haven't really heard anything since. So it may be nothing, but getting back in shape has been a good thing for me, not just physically, but mentally. I feel like just getting out and doing something that's productive and healthier is definitely rewarding in many ways. So continuing that's a goal of mine, to keep that up and to not stop, as much as I want to during the run, or not want to get up because it's cold or early, So keeping with those things, I think, is definitely going to set 2003 apart from how this year went, and like I said, taking all that knowledge from the things that went wrong or how I reacted and applying that to next year. I think next year has potential to be a lot better of a year, at least for me. There's going to be problems. I still have the same problems that are leading into next year, but I want to deal with them in the best way possible so
Nah,
that I'm not
absolutely.
stressed out.
I
Because
think
I think a lot of people see that with my streams. They see that I'm stressed out, and people come to my streams because they're stressed out and they want to de-stress. I don't want to add more stress to their stress. If they're around stress, they're probably going to find another stream or something else to do. Yes, there are going to be people that are there for me despite being stressed, but again, I want to alleviate. I don't want to cause more stress. Now, there's nothing I can do about it if I am stressed, but I'm just telling you why I am
mm-hmm.
and what's going to help. So those are definitely some things that I can do and apply to future streams and just in life in general.
No, I can agree with that. Um Now, I know you said you're not sure about the whole boxing thing you just mentioned, but man, no matter what comes of that, I'm definitely hyped and interested.
It's something I've been sitting on for a while now. I was ready to spill the news at one point, but I was still waiting for like confirmations, I guess, and directions where it was going. But right now it's kind of at a standstill. So it might not be a guarantee. It might not even come through,
Yeah,
but
of
it
course.
was something that was definitely motivating. And I think everybody would be really excited for it, like everybody. And it would fit right in with Twitch. I'll just say that. So we'll just have to wait and see. And if it's nothing, hey, at least I'm getting in shape for a good cause, right?
No, absolutely. Now, I do have another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that last piece you worked on, basically the Christmas piece, for your art stuff.
Santa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have that close by, or any art that you can show that's close by? Because I would love to show some examples, even if you have to get up and go
For
like grab
yeah.
anything.
Yeah, that's it's in the folder next by. You want me to go grab them?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Give me a second.
Take your time. While we wait on him, I'm going to oh shit, no, he's already back. Welcome back.
All right.
Welcome back. Also,
So
one
the last piece. Go ahead.
one aside real quick. I see your headphones. Since we have the exact same headphones, I see they're doing the same thing mine are starting to do.
Falling apart.
The headband.
The flaky.
Yeah. Man. At
So
least those are
I already
replaceable.
I switched out the. I know my camera's doing that autofocus square.
It's all
thing.
good.
I switched out the earpieces with the velour. However, I think they're starting to get a little flat just because I wear them all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the 12 hours.
I tried to use the velour ear cups. Nah,
Mhm.
too hot for me.
Really? Really?
Yeah,
I think
run too
I
hot.
control my heat really well. You can see I'm always in a hoodie, even during the summer. People are like, "What the hell?" I don't know. I just the way I breathe, I'm just used to it. But yeah, I'm definitely thinking about getting just new headphones in general. But if I need to replace those, I might. But yeah, I'll see these little fake leather black
I don't know.
flakes.
I think I'm just gonna keep slowly repairing mine because it's not that they were too expensive or anything. I honestly have even more expensive cans than these, but like
Mm-hmm.
these have just been my go-to. So I can't switch.
Yeah. Especially since they don't make them anymore. They make different models,
Yeah.
updated ones, and they're never quite the same.
Yeah, like I have a wall as just a side thing. I have a wall that's literally covered in hooks that just have 6 or 7 pair of headphones and like one headset on it that just
Yeah.
of varying price points that I just don't use because I like these too much.
I would do that with headphones and with microphones.
I don't know my microphones. I can't. I can't
There's
go
some
back
really
from
nice
this SM7B.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna stick with what I've got, but I would like to have different ones. There's especially, one of the announcer microphones from like a boxing or wrestling ring.
Oh, absolutely.
Just some of those little display pieces, I think, would be really cool.
Okay, I take that back
collection.
slightly. There are some retro as fuck microphones I really want to get that have not exactly the best sound to them, but they sound a specific way that I really want to get because of their quality, or technically lack thereof, I guess.
Mhm.
But man, this shit's an investment. But
It
yeah.
is. It definitely is. I mean, the life of a collector, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, let's see some of these pieces you want to show off, because I know
So
not
yeah,
everybody sitting here has seen a lot, but this is the
this
most
is
recent
the
piece you did,
latest.
correct?
Yeah, it's
Dude,
like a
that's
zombified Santa.
it's to me, it's just really cool.
So when I was doing the background, I have this thing where I like to make a mess of my desk and splatter paint around. So the background, yeah, I do have darker inks on it, but then I threw on a completely black ink that I splattered around then with the white spray, and that makes the images pop out. But yeah, this one I wanted to do something Christmas themed but also horror themed, so that was
I think it's
the
a really
decision
good
there.
piece. It's got this like duality to it.
I had fun making this one. I was unsure that I was going to do art that week because I was pretty stressed out leading
Oh,
into that week.
understandable.
And I was originally going to draw something else, and I opted out for a good reason and said, you know what, I'm still going to do art, but this was the idea I came up with and just stuck with it, and I'm glad I did. So there's that one. And let me see. The one I did just prior, which was a commission piece. I know a lot of people like this
Nah,
one.
the Skeletor piece is. I am a big fan of this, and I wouldn't say I'm necessarily that big of a like He-Man Masters of the Universe fan, but like there's something about Skeletor and his design that just it works.
Yeah. I've drawn one other Skeletor on stream, and I've drawn Skeletor prior to streaming. The one on stream I did was a digital piece. It was one of the first times I've experimented in coloring it, and a lot of people liked it a bit. And I always said I wanted to redeem myself for some of the pieces that I just didn't like as much as I wanted to. And this was actually commissioned by Gab's fiance. Gab's in the stream quite often and hangs out in the Discord a lot, and she always wanted another Skeletor, and her fiance actually ended up commissioning the one as a surprise, so she didn't know until I actually drew it and finished it up. So, and again, this was the same type of spray paint in the background with the paint splash, and I really like the effect that it came out on this one.
Yeah, with the splash effects and stuff that you do, it for what's essentially, you know, a simple background, it has quite a bit of depth actually. At least
that's
to
what
my
I
eyes.
wanted to do instead of draw an entire background. There are some amazing artists out there, and I'm not very good with backgrounds and landscapes. I've tried to do it. I'm not Bob Ross, and I'm sure if I took enough time and did a canvas, I could do something. But this is more my style. I normally don't like to ink or even color. So doing a full piece, that takes a lot out of me. I don't normally like to do that. I was fine with the sketch and I'm good. But with this, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I'm glad that Gab likes it as much as she does. But yeah, most of the art that I'll do will be comic book or horror related in one way, shape, or form. Here's another one, and this is all on, at least these last three pieces, on this new toned blue paper that I've not used, or it's brand new. It just came out this year. So normally I use a toned tan or a toned gray if I'm using toned paper, or just plain white paper.
Yeah,
I do have some colored versions, but the blue one, it just has this different effect. There's also a thickness to the paper that I bought that's more medium weight than the lightweight, so the ink does not go through as much ink as I put on there, there will be
Yeah, there's not much bleed
very
through on the
minimal
back at
bleed.
all.
Yeah, and it's really nice. So, and this one, I really like how this came out.
Now, I do have a question, because
Uh-huh.
I always wonder about this. With all the white on there, I've always had a problem with white fading like a motherfucker in pieces.
Mhm.
Have you found anything specific that works really well for that, or is it just one of those situations where it's gonna fade?
No, that's why I have a chart here, actually. It's funny you asked. And I have it, I always have this on my desk, where
Hell yeah.
I had a whole bunch of white pencils, and I just wanted to see the effect that they had against the regular paper, against the black background, and they're
Smudging, all
all
sorts of
different
things.
types. Yeah, so cross hatching and just smearing it on there, and you can see different reactions. And over the years, some, yeah, they're just as dark as the background. There's a Prismacolor here that is, you probably can't tell, but it's the same color as the background of the paper, and that's on top of the black ink.
Huh.
So it
I can kind of
completely
tell,
faded.
yeah.
Yeah, it completely faded. So when it comes to pencils, I have found two that are very bright, and they will stay on very long. One of them's a Derwent drawing pencil. That one is extremely vibrant. It will go over anything. And the newest one, which is funnily enough, was recommended to me by Laura Jane. She is also an amazing art streamer
I think I
that
was
we
in the
met
stream when
recently.
it got recommended to you, because I think we, the
Yeah.
stream and you were talking about this chart, actually.
Yeah, she was really kind and suggested a few pencils. And that being one, I've been using it. It's not as vibrant, I would say, but it's just underneath if you don't want it to stick out that much. So
Right.
you'll want some that are over the top, extremely whites, and then some that aren't. Like I would say this Batman is over the top with the whites because that's the look I wanted. But if you
Yeah.
use the pencil, and this isn't pencil, this was a Posca marker. So if you want to use that, that will not fade. And that is actually almost as good as whiteout. I know a few artists, David Finch is the reason why I got them. He uses it to correct any mistakes, especially with ink. And he'll just go over it. It won't take too long to dry. And then it becomes almost like a whiteout. So this one, yeah, it's extremely vibrant. But if you're getting a pencil, the Derwent is the most vibrant that I've experienced. And then the Luminance, which is the one that she recommended, that's the Caran Dash or Caran Dash. That one is just below that one if you don't want them to be as vibrant and as white, like stick out as much, because sometimes it can be a bit much. You know, it just depends on what you're drawing and the style that you want it to look like.
Like, I really do love the contrast in the Batman piece, though.
That one came out basically how I wanted it to. Let's see what else. Had a few that I've done. Oh, you'll probably like this one. So some sketches that we did for the subathon. One of them being recommended by you specifically here on the bottom.
It's one of my all-time favorite movies. But yeah, even these sketches, I love sketch style. One of the things I look for in a lot of art that I've liked is it's funny because it's either this or that. I don't really have an in-between. I love really fucking hard lines and just, you know, a very pronounced like edges and stuff as far as art goes, or I love really like floaty, sketchy stuff. And like those sketches were really fun to watch because there's a lot of detail there, but in a very different way.
I think we spent about half an hour, 20 minutes to half an hour on each piece. So, and I still take my time on
Oh,
a lot of the
absolutely.
sketches, and some of them, again, being comic books, some of them being realistic. I was able to come up with a couple different
That
styles,
Doctor
even
Doom
the
is really
Mario.
great.
Doctor Doom is somebody I've actually never drawn before, and that was another to coincide with Skeletor that Gab has really wanted me to draw. And I figure, you know what? As quick as a sketch this was, I feel like if I did a bigger piece of that, it could probably come out really nice.
His face seems very daunting as far as just composition and art goes in general. Because like, man, those are some very specific like hard angles as far as his mask helmet
Mhm.
goes.
I'm hoping that he gets his justice because they've really dumbed him down in the movies that we've seen from him. I mean, he deserves to be
Unfortunately,
as good as a character that Magneto has been in all the Fox movies, whether it be McKellen or Fassbender. And Fassbender just became so likable as a villain. And I think he's just been so dominant. That's should be Doom on top of that with as much of a threat that Thanos has brought. So they've done some great things with the villains that they have, but with Doctor Doom, they just kind of threw him out in both the movies. And I think the first guy that played Doom in the first two Fantastic Four movies, I thought he was a great actor. I thought they did a great job with how he looked. They just didn't explore as far as he could have gone. I mean, he literally, spoiler in some of the Secret Wars, rips out Thanos' spine. Like, he is one of the best and most powerful villains out there. And that not being able to see anything on screen, at least, that he's capable of, it's been really sad for that character. So now that Disney, I think, knows the right path for Fantastic Four, I think we could potentially get a new Doom. And with
yeah.
Henry Cavill coming over to Marvel, potentially Fantastic Four, hey, let him do a villain. Let him be Doctor Doom. I think that could have a lot of potential.
You
We'll
know,
see.
speaking of Henry Cavill, I am very curious to see what this Warhammer 40K thing is going to be that he's like helping produce,
Uh-huh.
because I know he knows the media, so I'm hoping they don't fuck that up.
I'm trusting him because when you have people that actually know the lore and have the knowledge that get involved with films, then you get a good film.
Yeah,
It's when people aren't familiar with it enough, or they're just familiar all around with 20 years of stuff and just shove it into one movie, then it becomes a mess.
looking
I
at you,
mean, you
Halo
look at
series.
a lot of the DC movies. You know, you get like 10 stories in
Yeah,
one when you could have just done one. When you get the DC animated stuff, it's great. With Marvel, no, not every Marvel movie is great. Some of them are just thrown together and they have sped up quite a bit. But when they focus on one thing, Ryan Reynolds focusing on how Deadpool works,
yeah. I thought the Deadpool
uh,
films were solid.
with Robert Downey Jr. being as familiar with Tony Stark, not Iron Man, but with Tony Stark.
Yeah,
That's why that character did so well. With Henry Cavill, now I don't know much about Witcher. I haven't watched the show, but based on what I've seen, based on what I've heard from other people, that does really well. And a lot of people are disappointed that he's not going to be in the future ones. I will
um,
trust Henry Cavill to bring something to Warhammer because, again, he knows the lore. I've seen him talk about his upbringing and the things that he's familiar with, and him building the computer that's somebody you want involved, somebody that actually has the knowledge.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Thank you, Rock. It's much appreciated. Seeing like the whole him building a computer to play the Witcher games for his character, like that was really cool. Like that's going above and beyond as far as researching, in my opinion.
Yeah. Like, and there's a difference as well as already having the knowledge instead of, hey, let me do my homework. Let me see how to portray this character. And then doing as well as you can when you actually already know the character. You already are familiar with this. Let's go. When I think when they were casting Frodo, right? Elijah Wood was already familiar with The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. He said, no, I need to be in this. This is exactly what it's going to be like. And boom, he nailed it. And it wasn't something that he just saw and said, oh, let me do the research. He already knew it. So when you have the people that already know it, that's when you get a good product. It's with the people that aren't that familiar with it. It's a hit and miss. You know, I will say with Thor, I think a lot of different people could have played Thor. I think Hemsworth does do great at Thor. However, his character has been so different in every single movie that it doesn't seem like he really has a grasp on the character. So it's not as solid as I would say as Robert Downey Jr. with his character because he knows all about it. It's when people have the comic books prior, they already know about it. Now, Nicolas Cage, yeah, he wanted to be Superman. He wanted to do everything. Maybe he might not be the best choice because he's such a distinct character. So it's not always going to work for specific people. I'm sure he can play some characters other than what he's done in Ghost Rider. But it's when they have a meeting with some of these actors and said, okay, this is who you're going to play. Here's the knowledge. That's when it becomes, well, it might be good. It might not be good. It really depends on how well they act and how well they adjust to the information that's given to them.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, some people nail it. Some people were born for it. And again, some people, I don't think that they necessarily get it right away. I saw an interview with Will Smith and Benicio del Toro. And Will Smith asked del Toro, he said, at what point when you're filming, do you actually get your character 100% the way that you want it to? Right? Do you fully understand the character that you're playing and that you know that when you're filming, you're going to get there? And Benicio del Toro said, never. He said, I never get there. He said, I bring to the table what I'm capable of doing, but at the end, he doesn't think that he's ever gotten to fully be the characters that he's wanted to do. And I liked that he said that. And so did Will. Will said he liked that too, because if you think that you're already this character beforehand, you better have all that knowledge. Like I said, Henry Cavill seems to know. And again, I respected what Benicio del Toro has said, and he's an amazing actor. And I think that he's definitely nailed all the roles that I've seen him play. So again, it's what you take that you have knowledge of prior, or do you get that knowledge right then and there? If that makes sense. So if Benicio del Toro grew up with, oh, this one specific character, right? What is it? Frankie Four Fingers or whatever from Snatch? Yeah. If he had that from growing up, he would know the character like that. But he learned it while going through it and then eventually became that character. Now, that's not like this very prominent character that everyone's going to recognize, and it was perfect for him. But when you take something like Warhammer or something like Batman, Superman, something that's going to be really big and people are going to recognize, it has to be right. Warhammer probably not as big as those. I get that. It really just depends on what direction they're going with that. But I have hope that it's going to be good. I don't think that they would steer wrong with somebody that actually has that knowledge. I wish I had that knowledge. That way I can tell them, hey, let me be involved in this, right? Trust me. Like if they were making a Half-Life movie, Dead Space, put me in there, right? I would love to be in those. I would love to be background in anything because I actually am familiar with what goes into those. Some of the other stuff, I would have to learn it on the spot. So it'd be a little more difficult.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. Acting is much respect for anybody who tries, because there's just so much that goes into all that.
I think a lot of people see it and think they can do it. And then when they try it, they realize that it's a little more difficult and different than what they expected. And then there are some people that would never have thought of doing it that just fit right into it, right? That it's just perfect for them. I saw an article also today. I forgot who mentioned it. They said they think David Batista, is the best wrestler turned actor based on the roles that he's done that has been so different from every other role that he continues to do. And that is pretty true from what I've seen from him.
I
From
think
Drax.
Was he in the that new Knives Out thing?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, I'd
He's
started
in
watching
quite
that.
a few different things.
I tried starting watching that a couple nights ago before I went to bed, and I was too tired. So I've definitely got to give it
He's
a
in
better
the
shot.
new Blade Runner. He's just someone that fits with it perfectly. Then you can pick up someone like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who, yeah, he's tremendous star. And I have nothing but respect for him too. However, a lot of his roles are very similar. And he gets a lot of flack for that because he's playing himself in a lot of things or playing the same type of character, right? The big tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Batista, he actually has a lot of differences. And I would say his Guardians of the Galaxy Drax character, that is like so over the top hilarious and not really what you would expect from a character like him. And then he has more serious roles. And I like that. I like the differences there that he's got. So yeah, it's definitely, hey, what works for one guy is going to be different for someone else. Again, we resort back to that.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think. I can't remember the title of the movie, but it was some heist movie that was like zombie apocalypse Las Vegas
oh yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest, the premise for the movie was god awful, but like his role was really well done in it. He was like this estranged father that was trying to like reconnect with his daughter and a bunch of other things to it, and like he played it really well.
Yeah, he is in
But that premise.
He is in the Glass Onion, as you mentioned. He's in what is it? He's in Dune. I actually didn't see that. My Spy, Escape Plan, and then obviously a lot of wrestling stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Riddick. No,
It's kind of funny.
I have a big respect for the people that can do different roles. Again, I still respect the ones that do the same thing.
Yeah, nah.
I just know what I would like to do, but I also know what I'm capable of as well.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing, though. What you're capable of now isn't necessarily what you're capable of later on, whether it be for the better or the worse.
Yeah. And sometimes you won't know until you actually try it or push yourself to do it.
But funny enough, wrestling was explained to me a while ago by a friend of mine in probably the most profound way and it's never made more sense since what he told me.
Hmm.
Wrestling's a soap opera for men. Because at the
That's
end
what
of the
I
day,
heard
it
as
is
well.
all acting. But it's good.
Yeah, I've heard that as well, explained that way, because I never really understood it. What I know about wrestling is very minimal. I've
Same,
seen
honestly.
very few. If anything, I went to go see on YouTube when so and so fought something like The Rock fought Stone Cold. It's like, oh, let me see what happened, just so I can have the knowledge on some of this. I don't really know a lot about it. I know Hulk Hogan lifted Yokozuna or something like that, and Andre the Giant. I remember some of those things, but very minimal. I love Randy Macho Man Savage, I would say.
I
But
remember when I was a kid really being into the character wrestler Sting, because he did
mhm,
all of these. And from what I was told, other people did this shit before him, but when you're young, you don't know that. And
mhm.
just all the stupid, crazy shit he would do, like popping out from under the stage, dropping down from the rafters, and just really theatrical shit. It was, to me, the wildest thing ever back then.
Mhm.
But yeah, well, I may not understand that medium. Like, goddamn, they do some interesting shit.
Yeah, another thing I have an appreciation for that I just don't know a whole lot about, but look what it's turned a lot of them into. Even some of the ones that aren't big stars, I still look at some of the Instagrams and see the motivation that they give other people. And that's always a great thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't want to take up too much more of your time here, so I almost asked if you had any closing arguments. I was like, wait a minute, that's not the right term. Do
Guilty.
you have any like anything in closing you'd like to say, or words of wisdom, or anything else you want to show off? Whatever.
I mean, I think we did touch up a lot on how this year and the past few years have transpired. COVID being one of the reasons why we are where we're at today, with everything that we've learned through this time and this year, and
Amen.
everybody's going through a struggle.
2023, whether it's going to be for the better or the worse, it's gonna be different. There
It's
might be
going to
some
be
things that are
different.
same. There might be some things that are better. But it's not yesterday.
It's going to be a struggle no matter what you're doing. Always. It's how you deal with it, what you've learned from these past few years, and taking that with us to the next year. And that's what I want to do. Am I going to make some of the same mistakes? Probably. We are who we are, and we resort to doing what we do best, or worse. We just want to refine some of that if we can, and if we're capable, if we're open minded, and hope that we can achieve more success, right? And that's what I'm aiming for. I'm grateful for the people that I've met, for having a
Oh,
house
absolutely.
and being able to do something during COVID, like stream. So there are a lot of positives. It's easy for us to focus on the negative that shouldn't overshadow the positive, but they often do, because it's one thing that hurts. It breaks us. We suffer from heartbreak, and our feelings get hurt from some of the smallest things that might not affect other people. It's rising above that and trying to make next year better than the last several years, specifically some of the stuff that I've been going through, and keep doing what we're doing, right? Not giving up, doing more creativity and stepping outside of the box and being willing to bring more mediums and different things to streaming and off stream. That's what I would love to do, and obviously continue to grow the friendships that I currently have and new ones. And hopefully, there's a lot of success for both of us, and everybody else that we know and the people that we don't know. We want the best for everybody. So, I appreciate you just giving me the time and just hanging out with me. You've been there for me a lot.
Oh, absolutely. It's
So I'm grateful for that.
like I know I've said this to other people before, but I'll keep repeating it. I know I can be a bit of a flake. That's just welcome to anxiety. Welcome to having some social issues, right? But like, if I have the time, if I have the ability, I'm going to be there for friends in any way I can, whether it's just sending a message. Like, I tell. I should probably listen to these words myself, honestly, but let's be honest, everybody's always better at giving advice than listening to advice, I always tell people, like, I don't give a shit what I'm doing if you think I'm busy or, oh, he's in such and such mood, he doesn't want to hear this. No, fucking tell me what's up. If I'm streaming, if I'm asleep, I don't care. Worst case scenario, you don't get a message from me for a little bit and then I talk because, you never know if somebody's busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I will always try my best to make time for people if I can.
And that's something that a lot of us don't realize we have sometimes. And we need to appreciate the people in our lives that are willing to do that. I like to say that I'll be there. And this is in that post that I made earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I say it and I mean it because
Yeah,
I know what it's like to need somebody.
I gotta definitely reread it again at some point because.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's when you go through something tough, you'll see who's there for you, and you'll see who isn't there for you. And sometimes it's the people that said that they would be there for you. So I'm definitely appreciative for those who have been there for me, and not just for me, for other people that go through hard times. They'll post it in one of the specific sections,
Mm-hmm.
if something's going on, or even in stream, and then people will, hey, you want to message me? Boom. Like that's something that you don't get all the time from everybody, and not everybody's capable of having that time, and there's nothing wrong with that. I would just say if some people say that they will be there and then they're not, you're gonna find out the hard way, and that's what sucks. But when
Yeah.
you see the ones that actually are there, then hold on to those people because that's not always easy to find.
No, I 100% agree. I mean, one thing I will say though, and I don't know if this is necessarily specific to what you just said or not. It came up in my head. You were saying like when you're going through shit, you learn like who's actually there and who's not. Whether no matter what they said. Sometimes you never know if they're going through shit too. And
Everybody's definitely going through something. It's just how severe they're going through it and how severe they're taking it. Sometimes someone's going through something so severe, but it's nothing to them. And then sometimes someone stubs their toe and it's the world, right? Everything's crashing down.
I don't know, man. You ever stepped on a Lego? That's literal hell. No, I'm just fucking
But
about.
yeah, no, I know what you mean. So there's definitely a time to listen, and there's a time to just say, hey, I need somebody to talk to or to listen to me, right? It's just the willingness, really, that's what's to be appreciated. Some people that are willing to just put everything aside just to listen, but then some people just
Whoop.
don't have the mental capacity to listen to anything more than what they're already going through, and we have to appreciate that as well.
Set my hand down and hit a hotkey. I am so good at this. But yeah, no, you're 100% right. Like, dude, the world and people, it's interesting. It just goes back to your experience is not everybody else's experience, and honestly, you never know. But that goes back to all you can do is ask questions and learn.
Yeah.
I think I've made
Being
this
more
joke.
observant.
Yeah, I think I've made this joke before. You know, some people say there's such thing as bad questions. I live by the rule of there's no such thing as an actual bad question. It's more of is the answer really worth the time? But yeah, this has been really fun, man.
Oh, I appreciate you giving me the time and on your platform and just the insight to getting inside both of our heads and looking towards next year because it's right around the corner.
Absolutely. Only 4 more days, 5 depending on how you count.
Yeah. We're there. We'll do it together. I'll be here.
I ain't going nowhere that I know of.
Well, I'm always here for you. If you ever need me, you know where to find me.
Absolutely, man. Like, you already know what I've said. But, ladies and gentlemen, this has been ThreatDesigns, a streamer, content creator, artist, actor, boxer. The list probably goes on and on, honestly. But if you haven't checked out his content on this, especially Twitch here, which is the link will literally be in the description and everything, like, it's super easy to find. Check him out. He does, you know, comics and art on Wednesdays. Has a couple community nights on during his schedule of streaming. Like, definitely check him out. It's a more chill, less intense experience than definitely what I see out of a lot of streamers, which is very refreshing because, man, some people are way too energetic for me.
Yeah, this is true. I follow a few people that are like that, and if I had that type of energy, my streams would be an hour long.
Right. I don't
So I
understand
have
how
to preserve that for 12.
I don't understand how people can do that. Like, I do between 4 to 6 hour streams, and that's about where my limit is, just because between my anxiety and my autism and stuff, I can't push the energy for more than that. Like, I've done 20-hour streams. I've done there was one 32-hour stream I did that I was dead at the end of that. I couldn't see doing. I couldn't do a 12-hour stream. That's for sure. Not in my current way of living / situation.
Yeah.
So much respect.
I get commented about that quite often, how I do it, and really I keep telling them it's the energy that I get from all of you guys. You know, if I don't have anyone to talk to, my energy definitely will get drained out. And there will be days like that, but it becomes more of I'm just focused on the game because I don't have a chat to talk to. And then sometimes chat is like explosive, and sometimes they're just talking to themselves and I don't have to do anything. But
True.
seeing them there, it gives me the energy. It gives me, you know, the willingness to keep going and sometimes go even longer on some of the days. So I'm healthy. I'm fine with doing it as long as everybody else is capable of doing what they're doing and not pushing themselves too much. I don't push myself. It's something that I've done prior to streaming without actually just turning my camera on. I would still be doing some of the same stuff. So it's just really preserving my energy so that it's not all done in the first hour, right? Like some of them, there will be some hype moments, but it won't draw out the entire stream. At least, not for the most part. Sometimes, yeah, but it happens. It's day by day kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
Well, so what do you do now? You continue your stream?
Yeah.
Well, I will be there.